The mansion was quiet that night. The kind of quiet that felt heavy, echoing through grand halls filled with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. In the vast kitchen, however, a small flicker of light glowed. Maria sat alone at the corner of the long dining table, a tiny cupcake before her with one single candle stuck in the middle. She closed her eyes and whispered a wish before blowing it out. The flame vanished in an instant, leaving her in silence again. No friends, no family, just herself. She smiled faintly, though her eyes were wet. It was her birthday, and like every year, she spent it alone. She had been working as a housemaid for 5 years now, and the little wages she earned went to support her younger siblings in the countryside. Celebrations were a luxury she couldn't afford. Tonight's cupcake had been bought with coins she had saved secretly, just to feel a little human on her special day. But what she didn't know was that someone had been watching. At the far end of the hallway, Adrian Cole, the billionaire owner of the mansion, stood quietly, leaning against the doorway. Known for his cold demeanor and ruthless business empire, Adrian rarely spared time for anyone. People feared him, admired him, but no one truly knew him. Yet tonight, something in the sight of Maria sitting alone with her tiny cupcake pierced through the armor he had built around himself. He stepped forward. "Can I sit with you?" Adrian's deep voice broke the silence. Maria jumped, nearly dropping her cupcake. Her eyes widened as she saw her employer, the man she usually only saw from afar, standing there. "Yes, sir. You shouldn't," she stammered, rising quickly to her feet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Adrian raised a hand gently. "Sit, please." His tone was softer than she had ever heard. They sat together in the vast, empty kitchen. Maria kept her eyes lowered, nervous, while Adrian studied her quietly. "It's your birthday," he said, nodding at the cupcake. "And you're celebrating alone." Maria's lips trembled. "I'm used to it, sir. My family is far away. They need me to work, so birthdays don't matter." For a moment, silence lingered between them. Then Adrian did something no one would have expected. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a lighter. With surprising gentleness, he relit the candle on her cupcake. "Make another wish," he said. Maria blinked at him, tears threatening to fall. "But sir, this is silly." "Humor me," he interrupted, a faint smile touching his lips. With shaky breath, Maria closed her eyes and whispered another wish, then blew out the candle. When she opened her eyes, Adrian was still watching her, not with coldness but with something almost vulnerable. That night was the start of something neither of them expected. Adrian began noticing Maria more. The way she hummed softly while cleaning, the way she sent money home without ever keeping a penny for herself, the way she hid her pain behind a smile. For a man who lived surrounded by luxury, he realized he had never met someone with so little, yet with a heart so rich. Maria, on the other hand, discovered a side of Adrian no one else knew. Beneath his ruthless exterior, he was a lonely man too. He had lost his parents young, grown up fighting to build his empire, and in the process, forgotten what warmth felt like. With Maria, he didn't feel like a billionaire. He felt human again, but their growing bond wasn't without challenges. Whispers began among the mansion staff, rumors about the billionaire spending time with a maid. Some mocked her, others accused her of scheming for his wealth. Maria tried to distance herself, afraid of dragging Adrian into gossip. One evening, she gathered the courage to tell him, "Sir, maybe it's better if you don't sit with me anymore. People are talking." Adrian's eyes darkened, but not with anger at her. "Do you care what they say?" Maria lowered her head. "I just don't want to bring you shame." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he reached across the table and gently lifted her chin so she would meet his gaze. "You gave me something no one else ever has," he said firmly. "You gave me company when I was surrounded by emptiness. You think I'd trade that for people's opinions?" Her tears fell then, silently, as he pulled his hand back. Weeks later, Adrian made a decision that shocked everyone. On Maria's next birthday, the mansion was no longer silent. Instead, it was filled with flowers, lights, and a table overflowing with food. The staff, once skeptical, were invited to celebrate too. At the center of it all stood Maria, stunned, overwhelmed, as Adrian presented a cake far bigger than any she had ever seen. When she whispered, I don't deserve this, Adrian only smiled. You deserve more than this, he said softly. But for now, let me give you what you've always given me, a reason not to be alone. From that day forward, Maria was no longer just the housemaid. She was the woman who had taught a billionaire the true meaning of kindness, love, and family. Final message for the audience. Maria's story reminds us that true wealth is not measured by the size of our bank accounts, but by the size of our hearts. And Adrian's story shows that even those who seem to have everything may be the loneliest of all, until someone dares to sit with them in their emptiness. Love doesn't care about titles or riches. Sometimes, it begins with something as small as a cupcake, a candle, and the courage to ask, "Can I sit with you?"